Hey everybody, and welcome to Tie with Postfly episode 3. Sorry, hang with me, we're just helping out some customers here in the shop. I am going to be, so today we are going, here we go. We're going to be tying the bleeding gurgler, sorry, it's upside down. This is a super simple yet wicked effective topwater pattern for everything from striped bass to redfish to largemouth, smallmouth. Even heard some guys skating these for trout. So again, super simple. It's just marabou, dubbing, crystal flash, and foam. And then we're going to be tying the remix pattern, which I'm going to just show you how to do a really simple. This doesn't look that pretty, I'm sorry. Really simple dubbing baitfish. That's you can tie with all the stuff in your kit. Hey Mark, how's it going? Good to see ya. All right, I hope everybody got their kits in time this month. Without the long weekend, we were able to do it a lot easier. All right, so let's get started. Let me get this up over here. All right, so we're gonna do a black and purple one first. Really, all you're gonna need to tie this pattern today is a pair of scissors, bobbin, a whip finish tool if you want to use one of those, and we have a cool little loon dubbing hook thing, which you'll see me use in a few minutes. Basically, you can do this with really anything with a dubbing loop, anything that's got like this, whether it's a hook grommet or really just anything with a hook and a long shank. All right, so let's get it popping. All right, so we're gonna start off with our saltwater 1/0 hook. These are tin plated. You'll probably notice a difference if you're a warm water or a trout tire that your hooks look more brassy. That's because those aren't coated for saltwater. So if you take care of them well, they won't rust, but these tin plated ones are rust. They just don't rust, and you still need to rinse them off, but not quite as much. Not quite as much TLC necessary for those. All right, so start off. Just take one plume of the marabou in your pack. Hey, Gunner. And all you're gonna do is just push that back until you get the tail length you want. I usually like to do it about the length of the shank. So I'm gonna measure that up here, and that looks about right. So I'm gonna take this and do something else because I forgot to start my thread. So first real step, get this set up. There we go. That looks better. Everybody drops their bobbin once or twice. All right, so we're gonna get this started. We're gonna wrap it all the way back to right where you start to see the hook shank bend and start that curve there. Do 1 or 2 trapping wraps real quick just to make sure that thread doesn't run away from us. Will, I love the loon tools. I don't really tie with anything other than the razor scissors. They're wicked sharp, so watch out, but they're just so smooth. I really like the tunable tension for control, so I can only open just the top and just get those really fine cuts in there. All right, so back to our marabou. Sorry about that. So we're just gonna take that, measure that out. Like I said, about the length of the hook, maybe a little longer. What we're gonna do is just lay that down right there.
It's funny how that works.
You want loose wrap first, and then slowly getting tighter as you come down on it. For 5, I like 5. You can do however many you want, as long as it feels secure. All right, so now we've got our tail. So we're taking that and trim that up. Throw that away. Now what I'm gonna do is just kind of batten down the hatches here and make sure those loose ends are all tied up. All right. Hey, Crystal, what's going on? Good to see you here again. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm taking a single strand of my magic crystal flash and I'm going to double it over and take my scissors right up to the top, bink, done. So if you guys remember the trick I showed you guys last week where you take your flash and double it over your thread. And again, just for the people who weren't here, this makes it super duper simple to control your flash while you're tying it in. So what I'm gonna do is take this and put it right on the side of the hook. You'll see better when I do the opposite. So right in line with the marabou, you kind of want it to feel like a lateral line on a fish. Okay, next step, we're gonna do our other side of the crystal flash. So again, I'm doubling it over. Once I get that lined up, I'm gonna pinch it in. And again, just take your scissors up to the top of that bend. You got 2 perfect halves. Then we're gonna do that same thing. You're gonna take your flash, double it over your thread, line up the tips, and then what I'm gonna do, see how easy it is to place this? Because I'm just able to control tension on both sides. Once you get that 1 wrap in, 1 trapping wrap, 2 trapping wraps, 3. Boom, 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 boom. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my foam. So what do you guys wanna do? You wanna do a black? We'll do a black top. So clearly this foam is way too long for our fly. So pretty much all you need is about half of it. So same kind of thing, double it over. Take your scissors up that point, carry a fly with you, and trim. Bada bing, bada boom. And one little trick I learned as I'm tying these is when you're tying in the front or the rear tie-in, it can be really helpful to do a little notch like this. So you can see how it's got the 2 angles. That just makes it way easier to tie it in, less bulk, but it still is as secure. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay that on top with that point coming just about to the tip of the end of where your marabou's tied in. You don't need to wrap super tight just to avoid cutting the foam. So do a couple, get it secure, and then do a couple more securing wraps over top of that. And then this is the fun part. Mark, it's a lot easier to afford fly fishing stuff without a kid, isn't it? All right. So now we're gonna get to the fun part, the dubbing loop. So what you're gonna do is, I'll do it first with my finger. So what I'm gonna do is take my finger here and you're gonna loop it around your finger, back onto itself. Do 1 wrap, and then I like to come around that once, just to really secure it, make sure that loop's nice and stuck. Oh yeah, Tom, we're making it bushy. Oh. Like I said, it's not fly tying until something goes wrong. So what we're gonna do is then we're just gonna wrap our thread all the way up to about here. You wanna leave a little bit extra so you don't, Brighton, yeah, it was. I smuggled some over here to Massachusetts. So what I'm gonna do is loosen this up a little bit. And I'm gonna take my Loon dubbing loop tool and stick that. All the dubbing loop tool really does is just gives you a little bit of weight on the bottom, and you've got this nice little ergonomic finger loop. And now, so for the dubbing, let's do the purple dub this time. So just kind of, you can just leave that hanging by your vise. So what we're gonna do is take out a clump of dubbing. And as you can see, the dubbing we have in these kits is extra long. That's gonna come in good handy for our next pattern. But really what you can do to line the fibers up is take your fingers like this And that'll make sure you don't have any kinks, nothing's wrapped, everything's all in line. So what we're gonna do is, and we're gonna do a couple of these in here. And don't worry, we're gonna trim. I know it looks long, but all you're gonna do is split that with that dubbing loop. All we're gonna do is just take this stuff and fill in this loop. And then we'll get to my favorite part, which is the twist, which is just way too much fun. So again, we're just taking this. Ooh. And as you can see, that the weight kind of gives it a nice, it helps pinch it down. Sorry for the noise. We've got customers in the shop today. It's great. All right, and I'm just gonna keep filling this. You don't need it to be super duper tight packed. A little bit of dubbing goes a long way. And you can see how it's unraveling itself for me. And you can fight that by pushing it up to the top where it's gonna have a tighter frame of reference. So again, I put a little bit more in there. And this will also kind of fill itself in once you start twisting. If you want to learn in a little quicker manner, you can also go check out our YouTube channel where we've got a bunch of these tying videos all up. I'm sure a lot of you are aware. Just thought I would put that little shout in there. Oh, yeah. Mark, composite loop also works. I'm just a dubbing loop boy. Sorry about that. Actually, sorry, not sorry. All right, so this is gonna be our last little pinch in here. If I can get these separate. Bada bing. All right, now for the fun part. So you see this has got all dubbing all up and down it. All you're gonna do. Oh, Mark, I see what you're talking about. Going a little mix and match. You can get fancy with it if you want. I'm gonna keep it simple just for the sake of the rest of everybody listening. But all you gotta do after that is just get this thing twisting, making sure it's not trapping too many fibers, but we'll brush those out. So I'm gonna keep my threads separate. A lot of vices have a nice little handy spot to put that, but all I'm gonna do is just twist, 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 twist. You'll see how it'll feel like it's getting shorter. All right, so now for the fun part. I'm going to take this and the dubbing tool that I dropped. And we're just gonna brush this out. Get all those fibers that are all twisted in there, loosey-goosey. And these dubbing loop tools are great. You can also use a toothbrush. You just really want anything with kind of coarse bristles that's gonna really kind of get in there and grab those loops and pull it out. All right, so now that we have this sucker nice and brushed out, see how bushy that got? Look at those happy trees. Little Bob Ross in there for you. All right. And now what we're gonna do, I like to counter wrap. So when I tie clockwise over the hook. So what I'm gonna do with this loop is come under. And all you're gonna do is as you're doing this, just making sure the fibers on the top are being pushed down and away from the foam, down towards the hook point. Do another loop, pull that over, make sure those fibers are down. All right. Another loop, same thing. This is really just gonna make sure those fibers behave when you pull that. Ooh, don't push too hard. Hopefully your vise is a little more steady than this one. One more, same thing, pushing down those fibers, pushing down those fibers. All right, pull it over, pushing down those fibers. All right, one more, and so I'm gonna do the same thing. So I've got my dubbing loop out here. I'm gonna take my bobbin over once, over twice, over another time just for good measure. And then I'm just going 2, 3, 4, just a couple trap and wraps to make sure that it doesn't run away from us. And then all you're gonna do, take your scissors, come in relatively close, bada bing, and then you can either recycle the dubbing from the loop, it'll unravel itself, and you can take that stuff and put it back into the bag. So see how that all came off nice and easy? That's still usable. Waste not, want not, Grandma always used to say. All right, so now we've got pretty much the basic things, and all that's left is to really finish this sucker off. So if you want, for good measure, just take your dubbing brush or your toothbrush or whatever, just kind of take these fibers and get them nice and loose, like real flowy. Because in the water, that's just gonna look like the blood or whatever, shake and shake, like just coming out milky in the water. So, all right, so now we've got that. We're gonna pull. I like to leave a little bit of a U here, just because it's gonna push more water. And so you just wanna line that up. It's okay if your point's past the hook. That's good, it's gonna form that lip that's gonna push the water. So we're gonna do that. Make sure that's lined up on top. Cinch it down, each wrap a little bit more once you've got those fibers and so you've got that thread in there. Or you can pop it like I just did. So I'm just gonna start back over, keep wrapping, save those wraps. And my usual partner, Pete, has a great tying video for this one up on our YouTube channel. I'm sure he does it better justice than I do. We're gonna do that. Cinch it down a few more times, being real gentle. Because it's foam, it's gonna give. All right, then we're gonna flip this back. Put a couple wraps up in front between the foam and the hook eye. I like to go a little ham on it. Make sure that lip really, see how it flicks up like that? That's just gonna push the water as it's skirting and really attract that fish attention. So having that back, I whip finish with my hands. If you have your whip finisher, we'll do this first and then we'll trim up those belly fibers. Do that. Pull that short. Boom. You can use whatever epoxy or super glue or whatever you like to use to finish off that head. Just for the sake of time, we're not gonna do that here. But like I said, you're welcome to do it. And then what I like to do is just kind of brush these fibers back, because I really don't want them extending too far much past that tail, kind of keeping that bait fish profile. So in the end, I'm just gonna take right a little bit past the bend of the hook, making sure I'm not grabbing any of that flash. Boom. There you have it. Maybe we'll trim up that crystal flash too to match the tail. There you have it. Super simple, deadly effective. Fish this for any bass species, really, anything that eats on top. I like office shenanigans. I like to use them for bass, around lily pads, around that, even for skating for some salmon. I know some guys use it for that, but I really use it the most for early and late season stripers, wherever there is top water action. Throw a gurgler in, set, and hang on. All right, so let's do one more of these just for fun. We'll do a red and white, keep things interesting. All right, so round 2. Take our 1/0 hook right there. And you can crimp your barbs if you want. I don't really crimp my saltwater barbs. Their mouths are a little bit harder. I'm more sad if I lose a striper than if I lose a trout on a barbless hook. Cheers to the great state of Wisconsin for making one of my all-time favorite beers, the Spotted Cow. Sorry, Crystal, I know you're a Penn State fan. All right, so let's grab our bobbin. Start up at the eye of the hook. Again, we're gonna wrap. Yeah, let's do black. Nice black, red, and white. Pushing it all the way back there again. Just do a couple wraps, just over right at the bend of the hook, mainly as a marking point for yourself. Just where you stopped your wraps, but I also like to do it. It makes the marabou stand up a little bit. So all right, we're gonna dig into our red packed marabou. Same thing as before. You really wanna make sure you're gonna take one plume. You really don't need much. Hey, what's up, Andrew? Be seeing him later at the Five Rivers Rally in Virginia. Great program. Getting all the kids involved. So again, I'm gonna take it from the eye, just about there. That's about the tail length I want. So I'm gonna put that in there. 1, 2, 3. Again, like I said, you don't need that many. I'll do 4 or 5 because I'm a crazy person. All right, so we trim that up. Like I said, I like to come in after that, really police the rest of those. Take care of loose ends. As the old adage goes. Hey, D-Ray, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. All right, so we're gonna take, if you notice in the pack, you got a crystal, it's like a red pearl crystal flash. We're gonna use that one for this tie. And since these are finer fibers, I'm gonna take 2. I'm gonna do 2 strands on each side. So again, it'll twist up on you, but if you just kind of work it slowly with your hands, that's what she said, you're gonna get that down. Sorry, just reaching up. Get that down. Same thing, double it over, trim at the point. Now you have perfectly equal strands of crystal flash. So, same thing as last time. Double that over your thread so you have it like this. So you can control it with your left hand while your right hand controls your thread. And so I'm gonna take this, and you can see how I'm able to place this very specifically with that sort of tie. And once you kind of have that first trapping wrap down, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, same thing, other side. We're gonna take 2 strands of the red and purple crystal flash. Red and pearl, not red and purple. Again, doubling over. Scissors through the loop, trim. Bada bang, bada boom. Perfectly even. Crystal flash. So we're taking this. Again, same thing. Other side, right on the side, as if it's a lateral flash. Daniel, I promise it is really this easy for our with our fly tying kits. You don't have to worry about getting the right materials. Everything comes to you. You got thread, everything you need except for the tools to tie. All right, so now we've got those 2 in. Time for our foam. So my pack did not come with any white. You guys may have, but I'm going with the peaches and cream. I don't know what you want to call it. Again, we only need half of it. So let's just go ahead, double that over. And you can also tie, similar Gurgler style, for you trout bums out there. You can tie mice this way. Just switch up the colors. I'll add some rubber legs in there and maybe a zonker strip instead of a marabou plume. That's all you need for a nice, simple, effective mouse pattern. So again, we're gonna take this, we're gonna trim it into that nice little wedge shape that makes it really easy to tie with. See that? Got a little point? There you go. Not to a point, you want that flat top, but like that. Again, we're gonna line that up with our thread body that's covering that, taking care of the marabou and the crystal flash. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Get that really trapped down. It's not gonna move much. And then I'm just gonna make sure that's down. All right. We're gonna do that dubbing loop again. So like I've got it here, got the dubbing loop around my finger. I'm gonna do 1 loop over the whole thing. And then cinch that 2, 3. Cinch it. Yeah, they do, Kyle. All right, and then we're just gonna work our thread all the way forward to about a hook eye's length behind the hook eye. All right? Gonna take our fancy schmancy dubbing loop tool or whatever you're using. And I'll hold it in my left hand, like, how to say it? My finger in between the thread with the hook here. And that just allows me freedom of keeping that spread. All right. So same thing as before with the dubbing loop. You know, take out, like this is probably all the dubbing we need for this whole pattern. Probably actually more than that, or this is more than enough. So same thing, I'm just gonna double it over, trim it. That way I know I've got 2 ends. Oh yeah, it is, Mark. What I'm gonna do is, this is another way you can do these dubbing loops, is you kind of put in a tuft, get it trapped, and then you can spread it out with your fingers. So I'm gonna spread that out down here just because it's easier for me from my angle. Do that, we're gonna push that up there. All right, maybe we need this other half, we'll see. So all I'm gonna do, again, get that up here. This one's gonna be really cool looking because of the way it flattened out and it didn't twist up on me. So again, I'm gonna spread that out. Like I said, a little bit of dubbing goes a long, long way. Don't want it getting too heavy in there, so I'm just gonna spread that out a bit. Get that nice and long. All right, now for the fun part. I'm going to take this, just hang that off the side of my vise. Just whoop. See how it kind of creeped down? You can fight that just by pushing it back up. And I'm just gonna make sure some of these fibers, loosely, very loosely, you don't wanna pull it out of that thread. Again, we'll do a couple more twists. Again, making sure that not too many of these loose fibers are getting trapped in the twists down low, because they'll just be a little bit tougher to get out. Again, so twist, twist, twist. I really want that to be super tight. So when I comb it out, I don't lose any I don't lose too much dubbing. All right, I think this is good. So again, take my handy dandy dubbing brush from Loon. I'm just going to brush this puppy out. You'll notice it twisting around. Really all you're doing, it doesn't matter that it's like one side or it comes out more as a Christmas tree or whatever, it's all gonna go the same way, same place as you manipulate it throughout your tie. So I'm just gonna make this nice and bushy. You really wanna get as much of those fibers out, away from the brush. You can make brush with a lot of really cool fibers. I make some really fun craft fur baits with it. Okay, so now that our dubbing brush is all nice and ready, again, like I said, I counter wrap, so I'm going opposite of the way that I like to tie stuff in. And then what this really does is as you tie, it just makes sure that it's tougher for the fly to unravel itself. So loop number 2, again, making sure you want the dubbing down towards the hook point without pushing too hard on your vise. Again, making sure everything's pointed down. One more time. Make sure everything is down. Another one. Make sure everything's pushed down. Another one. All right, that's the last one. We're gonna do one more. And like I said, remember, I'm gonna take my my thread, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Mark, that one's already in the works. Great minds do think alike. And again, I'm just gonna take that. It's okay if you trap a little dubbing. Doesn't have to be perfect. No one ties the perfect pattern every time. Wrap that back to about there. Bada bing, bada boom. Remember, you can pull your thread out from inside that dubbing. And if it wants to cooperate, pull it loose, put it back in your dubbing pack, reuse it for another day. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is just make sure these fibers are down, like I said, down towards the hook point. And this looks pretty good. We're getting that nice length that we're looking for. All right, and like I said, you're gonna take this. It's okay to double it over like that a little bit. Ooh, a little Wisconsin came out of me there. Drinking my spotted cow. And again, be gentle on your first one. You don't want to cut that foam. And you can make this lip as long or as short as you would like, depending on how much water you want it to push. All right, so there we go. You've got that body shape there, and then again, just take your thread right up in front of that foam. Wrap it down until you're happy with that thread head. And then you just, that one got away from me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And cinch that puppy down. Again, you can use epoxy if you want to, head cement, fingernail polish, whatever you want. I'm gonna keep it simple tonight for the sake of time. And you have your bleeding gurgler. I'm probably gonna fish this on Saturday when I'm chasing striper, in all honesty, because I really like this colorway. And also with the foam up like that, it'll ride in the water at about like just under the water level. You can see with the scissors like that. So most of the bait's gonna be in the water, and that's really just gonna get those fish going.
Hi, Mom.
Here, Brian. All right, so we're gonna do the bonus pattern real quick before I gotta hop off here. All right, so there you have it. Bleeding gurgler. Get that one to the box. So the bonus thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little bait fish pattern like this. Now, mind you, this one isn't very pretty. I'm sorry, I was practicing. But all it's gonna be is dubbing and marabou and flash. This one's super light, super easy to throw. I use patterns like this a lot for trout. Mark, to answer your question, I am using a Postfly vise. Last week you would have seen me using a Regal. Didn't bring that one in because I forgot. All right, gonna dry voice. All right, so for this pattern, we're gonna need the Pearl Crystal Flash. Camera down. There we go. I'm not going to touch that again. We're going to take a couple tufts of the black dubbing and a couple puffs of our purple dubbing. If I can find that. Where'd it go? There it is. Purple. And then we're just gonna use black marabou. So again, I'm going to be using the black thread on this guy. And I'm going to grab same hook, 1/0 saltwater. These are my favorite saltwater hooks, this bend and this style exactly. I use it for almost exclusively all my saltwater streamers. All right, we're gonna start our thread. Holding power of the jaws are really good if you're, in the right hands. I haven't tied on this vise yet because usually I have my own. The vise strength is very good. I like it because it has a rotary function. If you wanted to use that, the jaws are very tunable. So it's done by a nut tightening down over the shank. And really that just adds a nice little clamp, as well as I like how this secures itself versus kind of the old style, like you really had to hurt your hand almost to get it done. All right, guys, so let's get our, I don't like that tuft. I like this tuft. All right, so I'm going to take this tuft of marabou, and you can make this one a little bit longer than we made the Gurgler tails. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same tie-in. This pattern really just, it's essentially a Gurgler. We're gonna do some reverse tying, or actually no, we're gonna be center tying with this dubbing. And you'll see how that turns out. It really gives it a nice perpendicular profile in the water. So same thing as the Gurgler, you know, get that in there, trim it, and then tie up those loose ends. All right, and then we're gonna do, since we're using the pearl crystal flash, it's a little thicker, so we're only gonna need 1 strand per side. Hey Leanne, why didn't you just pop up here and come visit? You could be tying along with me across the table. All right, so again, using this thread in your right, or my dominant hand, crystal flash in my non-dominant hand, and I'm using that to come in here and trap that crystal flash right up against the shank. Wrap that up a bit. 1, 2, 3, don't need a lot. Strand numero dos. Line up those tips. Looks about right. Pinch that in your hand like that. You're gonna get that loop. Even if it twists, doesn't matter, just boink. Yeah, falling off of Leanne. Where's everybody from? Where's everybody watching at? Nice try, Mark. I think we'll be actually out more your way come a little bit later in the winter. We're gonna be coming out to California for a couple fly shows. All right, so then I'm gonna take my thread and I'm gonna wrap about up to the point where this marabou is tied in. And this is where we're getting into that center tying stuff I was talking about. North Erie, Nevada, correct me if I'm wrong, Fort Myers. All right, everybody's sounding off. Woo, Leanne, we'll be happy to see you. All right, so I'm now going to take this stuff curled up on me. Hopefully yours is a little straighter. If not, all you need to do is kind of just keep lining up the fibers like this. And if you have any extra, just kind of pull it out, pile it up. You really want these fibers that are next to each other, that are nice and lined out. So we're gonna do like 3 tie-ins on the top and the bottom. We're gonna put purple on the bottom by the hook. Said it right, Nevada. Right, Matt? Nevada? Nevada, I think it's Nevada. I'm gonna trim that, same thing, double it over, cut it, and you've got 2 equally sized pieces. So I'm gonna take the end where I cut that has that nice kind of square finish on it. And this is where we get kind of fancy with it. I am going to, again, double it over my thread. You might say, hey Dan, why do you double stuff over the thread all the time? Because it's easy and I'm lazy. And so I'm just gonna trap that right on top, push it over. And you wanna make sure you're getting your wraps over top of the material so it doubles down on top of itself. And 3, 4. All right, so that's gonna start, like I said, we're gonna do 1, 2, then we're gonna do crystal flash, and then a 3rd tie-in, and we're done. Hey Nick, welcome, Nevada. Got it, Matt. Thank you for helping me not sound like a dingus next time I go west. All right, we're gonna take, I don't like that clump. I'm gonna take some nice fibers out of the purple. Yeah, you did, Matt. It's fancy. Mark, I believe we're coming into the San Fran area. We got a fly show up there. So I'm gonna do that, like, see how I'm lining it up, doubling it over, lining it up. Really just makes it super simple to get that material right where you want it first try. So again, like I said with that first one, you're gonna wanna, as you're tying this in, just gonna wanna make sure, get that first wrap in there. Watch your fingers on that hook point. Wrap that in. Get a nice little cone going. That's just gonna help it hold its position. We're gonna wrap up a little bit and we'll start our second tie. So as you can see, this is gonna be a little bit long for that baitfish profile. So all I'm gonna do is take my scissors at an angle, because you wanna maintain that profile, and just give it a nice little angle trim there. It's just gonna help it stay in place. Leanne, this is a pattern of my own. It's just a dubbing baitfish. I'm not really sure where you could buy it. I'm just showing you how to tie it, or you can tie it yourself if you got the kit. Or pop by Postfly and we'll hook you up with the stuff to tie it. So I'm gonna do that. It does look kind of wonky, but that's okay. All this stuff will line up better once it's wet. So you can tie in the top or the bottom first. It's really up to you. But we're gonna do another tie-in, same length. It's important for that to make sure you get that right taper. Same thing, left hand over top, boom, get that in, wrap down once, pull it back with your hands. All right, Nick, we'll see if we can get it into production. Leanne, if you're talking about the fly we tied first, that is a bleeding gurgler, and that is on our website. All right, like I said, this stuff's gonna lay down better. Right now it's kind of curling. Could just be the pack of dubbing I got. All right, now we're gonna do our next tie. You can see how the purple is behaving a lot better. I'm hoping your black dubbing behaves a little bit better than mine, but just follow the mechanics and yours will turn out nice. Same thing, double it over, pull it up on the bottom, wrap, 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 and then I'm gonna take my thumb and my forefinger there, pull it back, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, you just kind of want to wrap this down into a nice little cone shape. And then we're gonna do our second tie-in of Crystal Flash. This is just gonna really help highlight that lateral line that many, many bait fish have. And a lot of predatory fish key in on that when they're hunting. So we're going, Bonky catches fish. Yes, it does, Matt. Yes, it does. So we're gonna line that up, double that up. Bada bang, bada boom. All right. And again, I'm doing this on the sides to really kind of get that shiny sided baitfish profile. And if your baitfish around where you fish aren't really bright and shiny like they are in our saltwater estuaries, don't have to use as much flash. All right, so we got one. Let's pick out our second strand, do the same thing. All right, quick little beer break. All right, God, that's good. I'm sorry for anybody living out of Wisconsin. I'm sorry for myself living out of Wisconsin. That stuff is phenomenal. All right, so we're gonna tuck that into the side there again. Lean that back. You might say, hey Dan, looks like there's a lot of shank sticking out. Why are we tying in our lateral line? That's because I like to leave a little bit of a tapered head on my baitfish patterns. Our stuff around here tends to be more of a like this profile rather than a really wide profile. What fish am I going after this, Matt? I am gonna take this out on Saturday and try and put it in the face of a large striped bass. It looks like any real generic baitfish pattern, so you can throw it for, I mean, anything that eats bait. I'm not familiar. Wonky. It means off. It's like I'm not feeling on. I'm feeling wonky today. I don't know. Maybe it's something the kids say. So, and then we're just gonna finish off. Yeah, we're gonna get a little fun with it. Take a short tuft of red dubbing and double it over like that. And then trim it, cut it in half again. And then you're gonna tie in this. And really all this is gonna do is add a nice little red throat. Which again, fish in clear water, fish are gonna key in on that red. I'm gonna do that. All right. We're gonna do a little short tie-in of black in front of that, just to make sure the head is gonna work. And then we're gonna finish it up on top with a nice big reverse tied chunk of dubbing. So again, doubling it over, trapping wrap. My bobbin ran away from me. Get it back. Boom, 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 wrap that back. So you can see now it's got this little flash of red in there. That's gonna get some predatory fish pretty angry. All right, last but not least, I'm gonna take a nice longer strand of black, cut that in half. This is kind of the nice little cool finishing move. We're gonna learn a little bit of reverse tying here. So you're gonna take it, roll it over so the long part of the threads are facing hook eye is going that way. I'm gonna lay that on top here. You can also feel free to tie in lead eyes or really do whatever. This is a fun little, I mean, it's just very simple, just dubbing. And so reverse tying, tied that in there, pulling it back, putting some wraps out in front of it. There we go. And then now you're done. Now we're just making a nice, clean thread head. By clean, I mean make it as dirty as you want. I like to make them a little bit, I don't know, I'm a perfectionist a little bit. All right, so I'm pretty sure that's not going anywhere. All right, make sure everything's back. Like I said, this black, if yours is curly as this, it'll lay back down in water. Leanne, yes it does. I like to use, for a pattern such as this, where it's gonna be black and purple, it's a high contrasting color combo, so I like to fish it late, like when low light or when the water clarity's off. And a little bit more bulk can really set your fly apart in the water and get that bigger fish's attention. But typically with dubbing, I like to go lighter. I had a little bit of a heavy hand on this one. All you can see as I'm doing is just brushing these fibers back. Brushing. Oh, that's what you guys have been seeing. That's pretty. I'd eat that. Right. Get that nice and layered back. You can see how it's got that baitfish profile right there, that nice red throat. That will catch us. Yeah, it will, Mark. Do you guys get aquatic Sasquatches in California? Is that weird stuff you guys are into? Oop. Reverse tie got away from me there. Bang, bang, bang. And the nice thing about having a little bit longer, more of the shank out, is if you're fishing for fish with teeth, it'll make sure that hook eye is going to be out of their mouth. So as you're reeling them in, you don't have to worry about their teeth getting caught up in it. So that is a simple dubbing, marabou, and crystal flash streamer. Use it for anything that eats baitfish. Like I said, it's a little ratty, but get that wet, and I wish that top stuff would lay down, but you can see, skirt that through the water. It's gonna lay down, come to a taper like this when it's in the water, and that flash is just gonna light up, and that's gonna get eaten. Like I said, part of this adventure is learning to tie along with you guys and forcing myself to learn some new patterns. So, like you guys have said, fish don't eat perfect, and that's very much a fact. But for whatever reason, any variant on these colorways has been catching me striper all season long. You want to use a black and purple color combo, especially in like low light night fishing. It's pretty much the only two colors I throw, just because it contrasts really nice. And I'll throw it in the mornings, or especially like into deep water, or if I'm fishing rocks out here for striper and stuff. But I cannot thank you guys enough for tuning in. We're really excited to keep this ball rolling. Next week, we're going to be tying the Rainbow Warrior. And those kits, there will be an email sent out on Sunday like usual, but those kits are already online for $15. It's the Rainbow Warrior. I will put a comment with the link in here, and that will be what we are tying next Thursday. And we're super stoked for that. Pete will be back with me. We're right now in the middle of packing week, so all of you subscribers will be getting your lovely monthly shipping notification, and your box will be incoming probably early to mid next week. To answer Matt Lamb's question, dude, this thing weighs nothing. I would throw that on a 5. I would throw that on an 8. Maybe on a 3 you'd be pushing it, but I think with a 5 or a 6 weight, you could throw that all day and never complain. Give you a view of that other side too. This one is what I've been looking at. But yeah, fish this for literally anything that eats bait. All right, everybody, like I said, I will be putting the link to next week's pattern in the comments after we finish up here. Really hope all of you guys tune in next week. It's going to be awesome. The Rainbow Warrior is my favorite trout nymph to tie and to fish. It just works all year and works really well. All right, thank you guys, everybody who tuned in. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great one.